All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is open mic night here on Driving to the Top Productions. I am Big Rich. Right now, tonight, we're starting off with a little bit smaller crew than normal. Adam is in the Northeast where they're getting hit with all this crazy weather. We definitely want to extend our thoughts to everybody that's dealing with all this crazy weather all over the country as you're watching the show tonight. To my left on your screen, Dylan, what's cooking, buddy?
Thank you. And wait. I think Travis Hunter has intercepted one of Ohio's passes.
My question is, when he goes to change uniforms after each drive, they're not going to stop the game for him to do that.
True, but
Or 12 on offense and 21 on defense. What the hell is that?
the NFL made a rule where you can wear different number uniforms.
Right, right. And then down below us, we got our Detroit Lion guy. Jeremy, what's cooking, buddy?
Not a whole hell of a lot. Sitting here just waiting to talk some more football with somebody different than my usual cast of characters.
Well, we definitely we had a big time on Thursday with the first round of the NFL draft show. I think that turned out really well. We thank everybody that joined us for that. But now that we've got all 7 rounds done, and next year Pittsburgh's already getting ready. The fountain at Point State Park, they are completely overhauling that for next year. So it's been delayed in opening for the spring because they're overhauling it for the draft for next year. Uh, be that as it is, let's look at we kind of sort of talked about this a little bit before we jumped on winners and losers. Let's go top 3. If you have 3 winners, Jeremy, you want to fire off first?
I have it as Bucks, Panthers, and Patriots.
Bucks, Panthers, Patriots. All right. The Patriots, man.
They had a hell of a draft.
They did a lot to help Mac Jones. I know that much. They sure did. Dylan, you got.
You mean Drake
May? Drake May. Sorry, Mac Jones. Good grief. Anyway, Dylan, you got 3 winners.
Definitely. One being New England getting Will Campbell, Kyle Williams, and Travian Henderson. 2, the Seahawks getting the lineman from North Dakota State, safety from South Carolina, Cole Soroya, and then taking Jay Miller in the 3rd round. And then 3, I think you could put this team in the top 3 or 4 every year. The Ravens, doing what the Ravens do, draft good football players, getting the safety from Georgia, Malachi Starks, and assuming Mike Green can keep his head on straight, that guy could be one of the seals of the draft.
Yeah, I certainly understand where you're going. I think it's definitely a unanimous deal that we think the Patriots did some really, really good things. I like what Seattle did. I think they made some really quality picks, especially later on in the draft. And Carolina, I think that Carolina did a lot to help that team as well. And they're in a division that it's pretty much up for grabs. I mean, there's not really a team in that division that you can say, okay, this team is definitely a playoff team. Atlanta's kind of shaky. You got Michael Penix in his first full season. You got the Saints, who are a complete dumpster fire, and Tyler Shuff. I feel sorry for this kid walking into what they have or / don't have in New Orleans. That whole division is just up there. So if Bryce Young can put it together, and they can take the new receiver combination, take Chuba Hubbard, and take that added on defense, Carolina might actually contend for a playoff spot, guys. Can you believe we're actually saying that?
Wait a minute. You really think Carolina with Bryce Young's going to challenge in the NFC? You think the Carolina Panthers?
No, I said the playoffs. You don't think they can contend for that division with what they did in this draft and in free agency?
No. So wait. So you think wild card? Well, I think there were 2, maybe 3 teams capable of making the play in the NFC
No, no,
North.
no, no, no,
I
no,
think the NFC.
no, Dylan, you're missing where I'm going. I think they win that. I think they could win that division.
No.
You're not. You're not going to
No.
have a team good enough in that division to be a wild card. It's just not between the
Mm,
NFC East and the NFC North. That's going to eat up your wild card spots. The NFC South is only
I'm
going to have one playoff team.
I'm I might be overthinking. I think only one team comes out of the NFC East this year.
Ooh, Jeremy, you catching this? One team out of the NFC East?
There'll
And
be
it's not the Cowboys.
No, the Cowboys are taking last place again this year.
Yeah.
But I see at least
Philly and Washington.
Eagles and Commanders are definitely a playoff
No.
team.
I'll tell you what. I think Washington might have been the luckiest team in the league last year, especially with how the Commanders won crazy games, Hail Marys, field goals. I think Washington this year might fall back to like 8-9, 9-8. I think Atlanta was unlucky. I think the Falcons should have played Penix 5 or 6 weeks earlier. Tampa's really good, plus the Bucks. Baker's competent quarterback. I think both those teams are playoff teams. I think the NFC North would just kick the crap out of each other. And in the West, yeah, the Rams are good, but I think the Seahawks are a playoff team with Sam Darnold. Seeing ghosts.
Jeremy, I don't know about you. I mean, I can agree that there were easily will be 3 teams out of the NFC North. I think there's going to be 2 out of the North or out of the East. I'm sorry, and that's your wild cards. You're going to have 1 out of the West and 1 out of the South, unless something dramatic happens. I don't know about you. What do you think, Jeremy?
NFC South, it's Tampa's division to lose. That's one thing. NFC East, it will be Philly and Washington. NFC North, it'll be the top 2 teams, and I can't tell you who it is because every team had a very functional and solid draft. What I see is Detroit, which was at the top last year, they didn't get any worse, but they didn't get any better. Everybody else got better. I think the worst place team in the NFC North has 9 wins, and the top team has 12. And it all depends on what they do outside of the division in their schedule because every single team might split with each other.
Do you subscribe to the theory that the NFC North has taken over as the best division in football?
Well, the win total of the division the last 2 years has been the NFC North. They even beat out the AFC West. And the AFC West damn near had 3 playoff teams.
They really did. Broncos gave it a scare. They sure as heck did.
So I think the NFC North, the AFC West, and the AFC North are technically the strongest divisions in the NFL.
I can agree with that. They all have 3 teams, at least 3 teams that are strong,
And
possibly 4.
If Kyle Shanahan can bend over, grab his ears, and make a loud popping noise, pulling his head out of his ass, San Francisco might be a playoff team in the NFC West again.
No.
Might be, but I'm looking that the Cleveland Browns are awful in the AFC North. And I honestly think, and I mean, I know everybody gave Dylan all kinds of crap last year in the preseason. If San Francisco doesn't get their crap together, they're going to finish last in that division this year.
Again.
Because Seattle, like you said, is going to be good. The Rams will be good. Arizona's got something to play for, and they made some really nice draft picks.
Until I see Arizona get over that hump and get past Kyler Murray's flaws, I don't see them getting much better.
No, but I'm just saying ahead of San Francisco. San Francisco,
they're still ahead of San Francisco. I think
because
right
they
now,
lost. Man, they lost a ton of people.
I don't like doing win projections as far as individual teams until the schedule is actually out.
Right. May 15th, by the way.
But at the same time, I don't know if I see San Francisco winning more than 7, 8 games right now.
Well, we don't know when they're playing, but we know who they're playing.
Right.
And where they're
And whether they're playing on the road or at home. Now, when you look at what San Francisco's got coming up, I mean, obviously they've got the 6 games with their division, but then also at home they have Atlanta, Carolina, Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Chicago. On the road, they've got the Texans, the Colts, Saints, Tampa Bay, Cleveland, and the Giants. So they have 9 road games, 8 home games. And really, I mean, yes, there's a couple in there that should be pretty much automatic wins, like Jacksonville.
what?
Kidding. I'm kidding. But Jacksonville is going East Coast to West Coast. Remember that.
And let me tell you this: my Jaguars have a better. Shakira's got a better chance of winning than we do out west.
Well, I've just got, I am a believer in that East Coast, West Coast, West Coast, East Coast, especially early games. West Coast team going to the East Coast playing an early game. Odds are they're not going to play well. But when you look at it from that standpoint, here's the one I want to ask you guys about though, because we're still on the draft, and I'll let Jeremy start this one. Your 3 biggest losers of the draft.
Woo, the 3 biggest losers. Atlanta Falcons. I think they gave up too much to move up that little bit to get James R. Pierce, a guy with a questionable work ethic.
Yeah.
I don't like what the Jags did to move up to get Hunter. I think they mortgaged their future, and they're going to hurt the future of the team in the long run. And the other one, God, I want to say the Browns, but they had a solid draft outside of Shedeur Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
But
Dylan, who you got for your winners and losers, man?
The Atlanta Falcons making that move for James Pierce may have been the most befuddling move of round 1. I mean, why didn't the Falcons just take Jahad Campbell? They wanted somebody. He was available at 26. Oh yeah, the Eagles took him. Right in Alabama. And then 2, come on, Cincinnati. Why are you taking Jamal Stewart? He had 4.5 sacks this past year at Texas A&M. Come on, Cincinnati. Enough with this monkeying around. Hold your draft picks. Make a move, Cincinnati. You gave your quarterback and 2 receivers big deals. Come on, Bengals. And 3, I'm thinking of a third bad one. I mean, Logan said they should have drafted me. I'm the best all-around player, and everyone knows it. By the way,
Channeling his Henry Shedeur Sanders.
By the way, Shedeur Sanders is definitely a loser going to the 5th round.
Well, I mean, he was the biggest drop. Yeah. I really look at the 3 biggest losers to me were Atlanta, again, with the first round. And I didn't really get impressed by any of the picks they made. New Orleans, I like their first round pick. Everything else after that, it's like, But I'm that guy that builds from the lines out. So, I love that pick of Kelvin Banks. But outside of that, they didn't really do much to help those interior lines. And then Houston, how many receivers are you going to have? And let me rephrase that. How many 5'10", 185 receivers are you going to have? They've probably got enough to literally field an entire offense of nothing but 5'10", 185 receivers.
I thought Higgins
Nico
was
Collins has got to feel like freaking Andre the Giant in that wide receiver room.
Higgins is like 6'4".
No, I said the Texans.
Oh. No. No,
The
Jaden
other one
Higgins.
that I wasn't. How big is Higgins?
6'4", 220.
Okay.
No, Jalen Noel's 5'10".
Yeah, Jalen Noel's the little guy. Jaden Higgins, the three biggest wide receivers in this draft at 6'4" and over 215 pounds. Jaden Higgins was number one. And in my book, Isaac Tesla, who the Lions traded up with you to get, is 6'4" and 215. He was number two. And the third one was Daniel Thornton out of Tennessee, who also was 6'4", but a little lighter at 205. I didn't want Daniel Thornton because he has over a 15% drop rate. I wanted Isaac Tesla because he had a 4.2% drop rate and ninth best in college football last year. I wanted Jaden Higgins first, but he was picked before we traded up for Tate Rutledge. And I said Tate Rutledge would be a Lion.
I mean,
yeah, you did.
I think Tate Rutledge was far from 100% dealing with that ankle injury last year. But if you think of what Rutledge's capable of doing, I don't think it's, especially with what linemen were left. I think the Lions made a good move. And sometimes with these teams, you think, well, wait, why are the Lions drafting Rutledge? This guy played at Georgia. He's part of the. You could do worse than drafting linemen from Georgia. It's like, if it's 50-50, I'll draft the guy from Georgia over the guy from Pensacola College.
So, shifting gears for just a second, we're sticking with the draft, and we'll be drifting away from that for just a minute in a little bit. But who is your biggest surprise? Now, let's qualify this. Take Shador out and take Pierce out. And I think we all look at the fact that we don't agree with the Pierce pick, and Shador dropped and maybe didn't drop as far as he should have. So let's take those two out. Your biggest surprise pick in the draft?
The Dallas Cowboys not taking a wide receiver until round 7.
The Dallas Cowboys not taking Omarion Hampton in the first.
Yeah.
That was the biggest mistake and surprise in the draft to me. Omarion Hampton going to the San Diego Chargers with Najee Harris, who's the exact opposite of him. That's a perfect marriage for Jim Harbaugh and the way he likes to run a team.
I've got a question, Jamie. Were you surprised? And Big Rich, were you surprised the Broncos took Barron? I mean, Barron's a great player and all, but were you surprised the Broncos didn't take Hampton at 20?
Not really. Not really. I think the Broncos are kind of coasting with what they have at that particular position. And it seems like for whatever reason, the Broncos it's something in the water. They get guys that are productive at running back that shouldn't be productive at running back. That one didn't. To be honest, the biggest surprise to me in the draft was Jacksonville balling up and going up to 2. I never saw that particular thing coming. We were all talking about, an open mic for a couple of weeks prior. Yeah, there's that chance Jacksonville's going to take Janty because they're sick of Travis Etienne. And okay, they're sick of him and they're going to get Janty. They're not going to get Graham, yada, yada, yada. None of us in any way, shape, or form brought up any idea that they were going to trade up to get the number 2 and get who I think is realistically the best player in this draft, and Travis Hunter. I mean, Jacksonville guy, Dylan, but my gracious, I mean, I saw the look on your face when they called it. That had to have been a blow.
I mean, I must say, it's one of the biggest draft day moves I can remember. I remember when the Browns basically traded Julio Jones and Travis Hunter was a big move. I mean, it's definitely the biggest draft day move I can remember the Jaguars ever making, which is saying something. I mean,
Well, but now, with a new coach and a new offensive system, is this make or break for Trevor now that he has two top line receivers?
yes, sir. Trevor Lawrence has been, hailed the prince, not just for his hair, but winning the national championship with Clemson. And other than the one playoff game, and even that one playoff game, Trevor was bad. He's been hit or miss. I mean, touchdown interception ratio, but there've been a lot of misses, a lot of mistakes, a lot of poor draft picks, and frankly, I think 2025 is a big year for Trevor. Don't want any excuses. The Jaguars ponying up the draft picks, the currency, and got Travis Hunt. The two guys who don't have any excuse this year are Caleb Williams and Trevor Lawrence, because both of those teams made big moves. The Jaguars got the best player in the draft, whether he plays both ways or not, and the Bears gave Caleb Williams a whole new starting interior line. The wide receiver from Missouri and Loveland. So Chicago's offense is stupid good. Luther Burden, thank you, wide receiver from Missouri.
I mean, I liked what Jacksonville did collectively. I'm interested to see what you guys do this year. I really am, because we talked about the NFC South being open. The AFC South is pretty open too. There's no clear standout team in that division. I mean, Houston has kind of taken care of it the last couple of years. But if the Colts quarterbacking situation can get straight, they might be able to say something.
I'll tell you what,
Jacksonville,
I think Tennessee will be better this year. Campbell can't be any worse than Will Levis. They will 3 or 4 games. I know Will Levis calls the Titans.
well, yeah, I mean, Tennessee, I'm interested to see what Tennessee does, to be honest. I mean, yes, they got Cam Ward. Okay, great. Now, what are you going to do with him? Because I want to see who he's going to throw to. Who's he going to hand it off to? I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sold on Tony Pollard. I saw him a ton in Dallas, and I wasn't 100% sold on him there. So I'm sure as hell not sure about him in Tennessee. Jamie, what's going on, man?
Hey, Rich.
Hey, we do have a Buffalo person here.
So, Jamie, I got to ask you the same thing we've just been talking about. Your 3 winners and your 3 losers from the draft.
I'm gonna say my 3 winners. 1, I actually think the Steelers were winners for not taking Shador, but also taking Will Howard so that they might not have to sign Aaron Rodgers. My second one, I think, is the Bills for bolstering up their defense. And 3, I'm actually gonna say let's see, 3. What do I say for 3? I say Green Bay for going for a bunch of wide receivers. And one of my biggest losers, one of my biggest losers is Mel Kiper's Mel Kiper being unsufferable like he's been for 30 years. He should probably hang it up after, like Bill Tobin said back in the day. Who in the hell is Mel Kiper?
No, yeah, I mean, you do have a point there. Your 3 loser, or I'm sorry, your biggest surprise of the draft.
Yeah, Carolina picking a receiver, but they went with T. McMillan in the first round.
Gotcha. I gotcha. So give your Bills a grade.
I'm gonna say an A.
Okay. Okay. Not a whole lot of argument there. I mean, you guys I thought you guys did very well.
I mean,
It
exactly. But yeah, I'll let you finish, and then I'll tell you. I'll bounce off a point that proves what you're saying. Though.
well, when you get a team like Buffalo, Kansas City, Philly, it's not a case of rebuilding, you're reloading. And you're going out there in a lot of cases looking for the best player available, BPA.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, you guys did a nice job of doing that.
But we also filled
you don't
needs.
have any glare. Yeah, you didn't have any glaring holes. But you had
Corner
some
and
holes.
corner and shoring up the trenches in the interior D line to stop the run. Because people got to understand, these guys were upset that the Bills didn't draft that many receivers, but the Bills understand, and some of these other teams are getting it too. Games are always won in the trenches, and you still have to build that way, even if you're a team like the Bills.
That Deion Walker pick, I think, was a very underrated pick in the 4th round. He did a nice job of stopping the run at Kentucky. I think if he can stay healthy, that's another issue with him. But if he can stay healthy, man, I think he could really be one of those linchpin guys in the middle of that D line.
Mm-hmm. And TJ Sanders in the 2nd round's pretty athletic for a defensive tackle too, which helps.
Really is. I mean, when you look at, you had let's see, 3, 6, 9 picks, and 6 of the 9 were defense.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely tells you something there. And you never know what's going to happen in the 6th and 7th round. You really don't. You just, sometimes you get hit a home run. Sometimes it's like, well, okay, but it's not a major issue if you lose with a 6th or 7th round pick. To me, though, I really liked, and I don't know how much playing time he's going to get simply because of your tight end situation.
Mm-hmm.
But Jackson Hawes plays a good tight end.
I think
problem is he's got
you know what he reminds me of?
Huh.
Jason Peters. Because do you remember when the Bills got him he was a tight end and he was undrafted and he had really quick feet, so they bulked him up and turned him into a tackle.
Made him a tackle.
I think they could do that with this kid, maybe, because they said he's a natural blocker as a tight end. And since we already have enough tight ends, I think you try to convert him to a lineman maybe and have him bulk up.
It's a distinct possibility. I mean, with the size that you have of these guys nowadays, where tight ends are 250, 260, and your offensive tackles, yes, there's 330, 340 tackles, but a lot of times your tackles can be 260, 270, 275 and play very effectively out there. I could see that as a possibility. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Shifting gears a little bit as we get to the end of the first month of the season. And we're looking at Major League Baseball right now. As we sit right this second, our division leaders are the Yankees, the Tigers, surprisingly, the Mariners, the Mets, the Cubs, and the Dodgers. Dodgers and Giants tied for first. Sorry. Our worst teams in baseball, Colorado Rockies, and the list ends there. When you're 4-24, you're on a list at your own. Joseph, I understand your question. What it basically is a matter of filling needs. How did teams do in filling their needs and getting people into spots of need? Now it's up to them to perform, and it's up to them to do their job. But what we're assessing right now, from at least my standpoint, I think the other guys, I can speak for the other guys, is how well they filled holes of need and how well they did in getting quality players in spots that their teams needed. That's what we're looking at there. It'll obviously be a little while before we can finalize it, but that's
I
what we're looking at, is how well teams did with filling spots of need. So
I'm waiting
we
for
definitely appreciate the question, though, man. We do.
I am waiting for a realistic sports writer to finally say what I've been saying for years. Why don't we just give every team a C until 3 years later and then grade the draft right?
Well, and that's a valid point. And that's why I do what I do whenever I grade teams, is exactly what I just said. How well did they get guys to fill those spots? Then it's on the player to take care of what they need to do. If you get a team that needs defensive backs and wide receivers and they go out and draft offensive and defensive linemen, the hell are you thinking?
So
You're building through the trenches, though. That's what you're thinking. And then you could get those guys later.
Yeah.
Well,
and one thing I'm going to say about the Detroit draft real quick is them taking Talik Williams at first glance, it didn't look like the right pick. But then you have to remember, Aleem McNeil won't be back till week 6 to possibly week 8 at the earliest. And are you going to trust a rotational player like Brandon Roy to be the starter next to DJ Reader? So while it wasn't an edge, it fills a need. And it probably gave us the guy to be next to Aleem McNeil for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a couple of y'all's picks that when you first heard it, you went, and then you thought about it for a second and went, okay. Both of the guards that you all took, the kid from Georgia and the kid from LSU, Ratledge and Frazier, right?
Yep, Miles Frazier.
I could see both of those guys getting playing time in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Are they all pro caliber? I'm not saying that. But are they guys that can be in a rotation on an offensive line in the NFL? Absolutely. And you need depth on the line.
And with the way Glasgow played last year at left guard, he wasn't that good. It wasn't like he was the year before. Almost all our pressure came right up the middle between Ragnow and Decker. And what makes a good center and a good tackle? A good guard. It doesn't have to be a great guard. It just has to be a good guard. Last year, he was not a good guard. Yeah. And what's funny, I think 10 George bets in, I think 10 wins is easy. Because look at it this way. I predicted we'd split with the division last year, and we won all 6 games. So, and we won 15. I think 10 is about right. That's a 5-game step back. I think the ceiling is 12 and the floor is 10 this year.
Well, especially when you look at who you're playing. Yeah. Because you've got some tough games out there, especially road games. You go to Baltimore, to Cincinnati, to Philadelphia, to Washington, to Kansas City, and to Los Angeles to play the Rams. Those are all those are pretty tough road games. Your home games are not easy either outside of the division. When you got Cleveland, well, that's a walk. Dallas, you should murder those guys. Giants, Pittsburgh, and Tampa. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're winning 15. But I could certainly see you guys. Are these also your folks saying 9 and 8, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm saying.
Are these also your folks saying 9 and 8? Saying 9 and 8?
Yeah, and I get it. I get it. I don't think I don't see where we got worse. I think we pretty much filled the holes and stayed right where we were. Everybody else has raised up. So can we fall back to 10 wins? Absolutely. Can we win 12? I absolutely think we can. Can we win 15 again? That's a stretch because you're playing every first team in the NFL outside your division. And guess who didn't
Right.
get the duck? Guess who doesn't get the duck this year? The Chiefs.
Yeah, and you got NFC East, AFC North, and then
NFC.
Kansas City and the Rams.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not like you guys don't have, tough divisions. Everybody in your division, everybody in the NFC North's got to play the NFC East and the AFC North.
Hell, even the
Well,
Bears beat the Packers last year.
That's at least 6 teams that are really tough teams that are playing against the Lions outside of your division, which is going to be tough as is. Eric says, how many games do we see the Chiefs winning? Well, let's look at who they play.
If their defense doesn't improve, I see 12 wins because their offense is that prolific in the regular season.
I say 10.
Let's see. They have at home. They have their division games, of course: Houston, Indy, Philly, Washington, Baltimore, Detroit. On the road, they've got Dallas.
For them, though.
Right. Yeah, they've got Dallas, Jacksonville, the Giants, Tennessee, and Buffalo. So they're playing the AFC South and the NFC East.
Outside of 5 names in this draft, and I'm being dead serious, 5 names in this draft, I literally see from the first round to the 7th round almost the same quality of player back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not knocking the players. I'm knocking the draft as a whole. This was probably our most meh draft we've had in a while as far as star potential.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Guys, having a little fun with going away from all the draft stuff. We all like dogs, right?
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Sure.
Who's the great? We know everybody's got a GOAT conversation. Like, is Michael Jordan the NBA GOAT? Is Tom Brady the greatest quarterback ever? Who's the greatest dog of all time?
Lassie.
Snoopy.
Airbud.
It's a tie. This answer is a tie between Snoopy and Spunky.
Airbud's a dog that plays basketball.
Honorary mention goes to Droopy.
My honorable mentions Airbud.
I put my nickname for Sanders in there in the chat for him.
By the way, we did have one that I did not hit. Why are the Tigers surprising? They're in the playoffs last year and got the best pitching in the league. I'm not the thing that surprises me about why Detroit leads their division is twofold. A, their hitting is not that great. And B, Cleveland is way underperforming.
I'm going to push on that one a little bit. They're 5th best in scoring in the league right now.
Yeah.
I will push a little bit on that one. They really improved their scoring. They're hitting better with runners on base.
That's been the big key. Hitting with runners in scoring position is probably one of the more underappreciated stats in baseball. You can hit all day, but if you don't hit whenever you have the opportunity to drive in runs,
he won't see it. I'll say put up one of Dylan's comments because he's mentioning from my channel. He won't be able to see the YouTube comment. So just one of them up, and that way it gives him an answer.
Oh, this one?
Yep, perfect. Yeah, he runs 5K races. Those are his medals he's earned. I'm quite sure they go from participant to gold.
I've run 43. I've run 43 5K races.
That's awesome.
And
43 more than I've run, Dylan.
That's 5K more than I run a day.
When I was in sports, I did baseball, I did football, I did basketball, I did pretty much everything. When I was in baseball, my coach called me the ultimate four-tool player. I could hit with power, I had a good arm, really good glove, and you could time me with a sundial.
So
I had
does everybody?
when God gave me everything else, he forgot to give me speed. So, yeah.
The one thing I will say, I looked at the list of UDFAs, and there is one I want to bring up. It's our international pathways player. We picked up defensive tackle out of Samoa, Laki Kasi. He's a defensive tackle out of rugby. That's 6'6" and 330 pounds. That's a big boy.
Yep. It's like they said in the replacements. What do? They push people.
Yes.
They push people. They grab people. They push people.
And where have
Great
some
offensive
of the
and
best,
defensive linemen.
what has made for some of the best defensive tackles and offensive linemen in NFL history lately? Samoans.
Samoans and Tongans.
Yep.
Polynesian, yep.
Yeah. Well, that's all. That's that area. You know,
Mhm.
from Hawaii through the Philippine island.
Well,
Those
and
guys.
sumo.
Yeah, and it's because they practice sumo wrestling. It's pushing people.
Right. Yeah, you're 100% right. And I've seen it done. I've never actually done it, but I've seen it done like up close and personal. That's a hell of a lot tougher than you might think it is. A lot of people are like, well, that's just like playing offensive line in the
Well,
back to train up just a second.
or
It-
a CB.
That's the whole. I mean, you have no cleats to dig into the ground. You're
Right.
barefoot. You're basically wearing a thong.
A diaper.
Yeah, and not to mention that, but the other guy is pulling on that diaper and pulling your jewels up into your eyeballs at the same time. So take sumo up a few notches from what everybody thinks it is.
By the way, true story
And
with sumo, the sumo wrestlers themselves would eat like these huge bowls of rice before they compete. And if like one of the top guys lost, especially in Japan, all the fans would throw their seat cushions in the middle of the ring.
yep.
My dad says speed was my best asset, along with a good glove and arm. Too bad I was never a power hitter. But you know that there's only been a few exceptions of people that had speed and power, really, in baseball history. You know, you can go all the way back. Babe Ruth wasn't fast. The film was time elapsed, but
Right.
but like Jackie Robinson, you know, players like that. Roberto Clemente was another one. Willie Mays, Barry Bonds before he took the steroids. When he was playing
before
for
he took him, he
Denver.
had speed. Yeah.
Yeah, he had
How
speed and
about
power.
A-Rod?
But then but you get some of the guys. Yeah. Oh, Griffey was common. Griffey to me, and I get arguments about this all the time, but Griffey to me is the greatest all around baseball player in the last 50 years.
I think he was the greatest five-tool player since Jackie Robinson.
I've had people say since Mickey Mantle. So
is Griffey better than Pujols?
Yeah. Pujols is pure power, and he could only play first base. He could never play the outfield.
No, but he did have a phenomenal glove at first.
Right.
So I do give him credit for that. But yeah, you're right. He didn't have any speed. Even in his early days, he didn't have speed, and didn't really have to do much with an arm. So a three-tool player, yeah, he could hit for average as well as power.
Right. But
I
I'm
think
just
he hit
saying,
300 8 or 10 times.
Ken Griffey was the best five-tool player. Hank Aaron, he could play outfield, but he wasn't that fast either.
And if he wouldn't have gotten hurt so much early in his career, I think we would have Bryce Harper in that conversation. But he just kept getting banged up and banged up and banged up and missing time because, when he first came up, it was one of those things that, man, everything he hit was a rocket, line drive or over the fence. He could fly and played fantastic outfield. The injuries just got to him
Mhm.
and, cut it short.
Could you say the same thing
Now
with
he's
Mike Trout?
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Mike Trout.
Mike Trout, if he could stay healthy, he would be the white version of Ken Griffey, but he can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
is Trout the greatest player in the last 20 years? Yeah. Yeah.
So Griffey was still playing 20 years ago.
I've,
Well,
I've
but
got a
20 years
question.
ago, it was the White Sox and Reds version of Ken Griffey, not the
Right.
Mariners
I
version of
know.
Ken
I've
Griffey.
just Torkelson with his
Um,
shortened swing, it's been very much more compact. He's pulling more stuff from the inside, and everything's a line drive. It's either line drive or gone.
well, I think he's playing a lot better. His first year or two, he was kind of.
He was in and out of
He's playing really
injury.
well this year.
That last year that Miggy was here, what was that, 2-3 years ago? I think it was just before he retired. He worked with Torkelson on his swing, and you saw a difference. At the end of the season, he had a nice level swing. He was doing everything right. The first year, right after Miggy retired, he started uppercutting or swinging down at everything. His swing wasn't level, which slows your bat down. When you slow your bat down, your timing's off. When your timing's off, you can't hit it fair or you pop it up.
Yeah. So here's one for you guys, and let's take Griffey out of the picture. Prettiest swing in baseball.
Could it be then or now?
I don't
And
care, but we all would say Griffey, so take Griffey out of it.
Shohei Ohtani. I'm
Definitely
sorry.
the most violent swing.
The best swinger, A-Rod.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a pretty swing before the roids got to him.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you, Dylan?
Oh. Today,
Yeah.
today probably Aaron Judge, because everything Aaron Judge hits goes like 900 miles.
And he's learning how to hit for average now, too.
Yeah, he finally learned plate discipline. They had nothing to do with that. He had no plate discipline. He would swing at something 30 feet off the base.
But back in the day, I mean,
Steve Garvey, George Brett, Willie Wilson all had pretty swings, but the prettiest swing in baseball has to be the guy with the most hits in baseball. God rest his soul, Pete Rose.
I was going to say, speaking of rest in peace, how about Tony Gwynn?
Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn's very valid. I was going to say Rafael Palmeiro.
I never liked him.
That swing it looks like he's not putting anything behind it and hits it 375.
I mean Manny, but without the roids.
Yeah.
Okay, for that matter, how about Rod Carew and Wade Boggs? Thank you.
Boggs he just had that knack for finding the old hit them where they ain't. I'm trying to remember where that quote came from. And it's escaping me. But he was the epitome of hit them where they ain't. He was uncanny doing it. Him and Mattingly both. And Donnie Baseball had a really nice swing there too.
Yeah.
I like that one.
So,
Dad says Roger Maris.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roger Rick.
So, do we see, considering the fact that going into tonight, the fighting Colorado Rockies are 4-24.
Oh God!
They are on pace to win 24 games. Not this month, this season.
Which is worse than last year's Chicago team.
Oh,
by far, by 15 games. They would finish 28-134 if that was the case.
Oh gosh.
Is this Colorado Rockies team arguably the worst team in baseball history?
Yes.
Yes.
No, no. If the Rockies are this bad come July 31st or Labor Day, yes. I'm waiting and see.
Because I'm still looking at the White Sox, who are a whopping 7-21 after last year sucking out loud and losing 115 games.
But
120.
Chicago, they return a lot of young prospects that they got at the end of their sellout last year. So that's a wait and see, I think.
By the way, Jamie, didn't the Yankees hit like 4 home runs in the first inning against the Orioles tonight?
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
They got 51st home. They got 51 home runs on the season. It's the most by any Yankees franchise team in April.
My DraftKings enjoyed that thoroughly.
Hey,
'Cause
with
I
the
had
Yankees,
Judge,
it's about bombing home runs, man.
I had Grisham, Rice, and Judge in my DraftKings. I
Hey,
enjoyed that one thoroughly.
Hey, Big Rich, are you go? Hey, Big Rich, you make any baseball teams on DraftKings?
Basketball teams?
No, best ball teams.
Best ball occasionally, but not.
Oh, tell me when you all. I'll get in the draft with you.
Okay. What team was the first team to lose over 100 games? Wouldn't have been the 62 Mets. Let me think on that one for a second. Or was it the 62 Mets?
Maybe. By the way, I've got a good question. What's the NFL's worst team for a single season?
The 1976 Bucks.
Oh gosh. I'm
One of
gonna
the,
maybe your 2008 Lions, Jeremy.
yeah, Dan Orlowski, a quarterback, and now he's the pretty boy on ESPN.
What team was the first team to lose 100 games? Wasn't that the Mets? Because they
62
were.
No,
Mets.
that's what I was thinking. It was before that. It was like 1900s or early, even before that. There was a team that was like 25 and 100 and something when they were playing like 130 games a year. Yeah, my
No, because
first thought was the 62 Mets.
In 1935, Boston Braves lost 115 games.
ouch.
St. Louis Browns, 1897 were 29 and 102.
Wow. So right now, I think the Rockies will win a couple more on the road. I think all their free agents that they picked up are struggling with how the ball travels in the thin air, and they're not used to it yet, and they'll pick up a couple more games later. But at the same time, I don't see them getting out of the cellar.
I know this much. I can get you guys all tickets to the games tomorrow night for $2 a piece.
Aren't you guys playing a doubleheader?
Who?
The Pirates?
No, I'm talking about the
The Rock-
Rockies.
The Rockies,
Oh,
they're selling.
yeah,
They're selling the nosebleeds.
and Braves, right?
They're selling the nosebleeds and the grandstands at $2 a piece.
$2 a shot. Yeah, they're playing the Braves right now. They're losing 6-1 in the bottom of the fifth. They got one more with the Braves tomorrow, and then they get the delight of going to San Francisco for 4, and then Detroit for 3. Or no, they got Detroit at home. I'm sorry.
No,
They have Detroit at home.
let Torkelson hit there the way he's hitting.
Let Javi get a hold of one. I realize Javi's not hitting his weight, but when he gets a hold of one, forget it.
But what I was impressed with is we had some injuries to some outfielders. They weren't power hitters; they were just run-of-the-mill, average MLB guys. And Javi had to play center field a few days ago.
Yep.
He tracked a ball that was a laser heading for the wall, and had to run 115 feet to get it, and did an over-the-shoulder grab.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the Detroit Tigers have one of my favorite players in baseball. I love Riley Green. I think he's a fantastic ball player. And he's still really young, and he could have a fantastic career when it's all said and done.
It's the other UDFA. I'm going back because I just remembered this one. The guy we gave the most guaranteed money to is wide receiver Jackson Meeks out of Syracuse. And the reason why I find that interesting is we didn't draft an edge in the first 2 days like everybody predicted we would.
Right.
And Darius Smith hasn't contacted another team and has only been in contact with Detroit. He's the Darius Smith's nephew. Doesn't that seem like a bit of a coincidence that that's the guy that got the most?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting Zadarius Smith back in Pittsburgh, to be honest with you.
Right. But I'm just saying, it sounds like he's going to come back home to me. That we're going to hear something by the end of the week.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
Big Rich, speaking of Pittsburgh, Steelers drafted, waited until the 6th round to draft that being Will Howard. No Shedeur Sanders or anyone else.
So,
is this Aaron Rodgers coming to Pittsburgh?
No.
And
Will Howard, I firmly believe will be your starter game 1.
Ooh. Hot take, folks. He's not believing.
It sure as hell is not going to be Skylar Thompson. And it better not be Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph is horrible in so many levels. Skylar Thompson, no.
Oh, there was a worse record in Major League Baseball back there in the 1800s. 1899.
I think you guys learned your lesson from the Kenny.
The Chicago Cubs only won 20 games.
Math, you dead, Rich.
Well, Will Howard, if you look at Will Howard and the way he plays, there's a whole lot of Ben Roethlisberger in Will Howard. Size-wise, running ability, things of that nature. Actually, he's got better running ability than Ben ever had. Howard had 2 runs of over 70 yards in college. So he can take off. I don't think the Steelers are going to put up with Aaron Rodgers, Orlando. At this point, the Steelers would just as soon go into the season with Howard, Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and whoever.
Rodgers now.
Is anybody
and whoever the Giants get rid of.
Is anybody a Fletch fan? Chevy Chase film?
Yeah.
The Steelers would be happier with Claude Henry Schmoot than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. They would be happier with Brucey from the longest yard.
You know what? Maybe
Why can't I be a quarterback?
You know what? Maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers should get Shane Falco.
Hey, Keanu Reeves would be a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. At this point in time, Rodgers has burned, I think, every bridge possible. I really do. Whenever you look at, there's no teams right now that are looking for a 43-year-old quarterback that is not what he was in Green Bay, has proven that he is a problem in and out of the locker room, especially any team that is building, that has a bunch of young guys around. So, I mean, the only place I could see him going is someplace that he would be a backup. And he is not going to go somewhere as a backup. I can promise you that.
Guess which mighty savior we can hail for that? Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn's the one who potentially saved the NFL from all this now by doing it, and when he got hired by the Jets.
Well, yeah, and you're right, Jamie. I mean, and when you look at what the Jets have right now in their quarterback room, I mean, they'll be okay. But what team in the NFL right now? And if you guys have got one, please tell me. What team in the NFL would Aaron Rodgers right this second make better?
Your team?
What's
Your
that?
team?
He ain't gonna. He could go. He could go to the UFL, but they're not gonna want to deal with him either.
I think Aaron Rodgers is better than Mason Rudolph, but I'm not sure the Steelers have a team.
I think he
I
should go
don't.
work in a
I don't think he.
I think he
I
should
don't think
start
he's
his
better
own
than Will Howard.
Caps pub in Green Bay.
I think
Yeah, I don't
Aaron
think he's better than Will Howard right now, though.
I think Aaron Rodgers is better than Tua.
Ooh, Jeremy, you
Mhm.
hearing this?
What's that?
Rodgers better than Tua?
You think Aaron Rodgers is better than Mr. Multi Concussion Man?
Yes.
No.
Dylan, how many concussions have you had recently?
Let's compare stat to stat. Completion percentage last year. Whose was better?
Tua.
Touchdowns. Whose was better?
I think Tua. Rodgers had 24. How many
Rodgers
Tua
had
have?
24. Tua had 38.
Okay. I couldn't
Wait,
remember
that
how
was
many
2
Tua had.
years ago. That was 2 years ago, though.
No. I'm not talking about 2 years ago. I'm talking about right now, last season,
Last year.
statistic wise. Who had more interceptions, Rodgers or Tua?
I think Rodgers threw like 10 or 12.
Rodgers threw 17.
Mm-hmm. By the way, last year Tua threw 19 touchdowns last year.
Okay, I got it wrong. So he threw 19 touchdowns. Why? They actually utilized the run game more. He didn't miss games last year, but he had, what was he, 72% accurate?
Tua missed
73% accurate. He missed 5 games last year.
He missed
Or
5
6 games last year.
6 games.
6 games.
And
yeah.
through the first 8 games, Rodgers had 9 interceptions. And do you know how many games it took Zach Wilson to throw 9 interceptions his rookie year?
What?
12.
12, yeah.
So in other words, Aaron Rodgers was worse for the Jets than Zach Wilson was.
That was my point. I kept saying that when Salah was with the Jets, it's like you should have stuck with Zach Wilson and read it out then and deal with him instead of dealing with Rodgers, which was worse.
Hey, Jamie, I know you have a question to ask me about my dad. What is it?
What?
I said, Jamie, I know you have a question to ask about my dad.
I don't have a question to ask about your dad.
Oh, I know you do.
Jags.
Huh?
I thought you said Jags.
Oh, about your Jags. I don't have a question about your dad. I mean, that's weird. Oh, the Jags. Yeah, what do you think of what do you think of some of the draft picks that they made? I like that running back in the 4th round, but you know who I have a little bias. I think LaQuinn Allen is a steal in the 7th round for you guys.
I mean, Travis Hunter's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, I don't know if he can play both ways. I mean, but Trevor will like Travis on offense.
I think that was a aggressive trade. It's like you basically got to tell the NFL we don't have Doug Peterson anymore. We got a young GM and a young head coach, and we got to think big and let's go for it. And that's what they did by trading up for Hunter. So.
I mean, I see Orlando. I see what you're saying. I think they're going to try and go 50-50. But if one is a detriment to the other, then yeah, I think you're right. They'll be going more one side than the other.
Charles Woodson was a 2-way player when he was in college, but then he only had to play corner in the NFL, never played wide receiver.
Well, that was because when he came in, they said you will play corner and corner only. I don't think that Woodson ever really wanted to play receiver in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that Hunter has said that he wants to play both. Seems like Jacksonville's going to give him a shot to. and then see what happens. The one thing I can give you about Travis Hunter, just from what I've heard in his interviews and I've seen in different things, he's a very smart kid and he's very dedicated to learning the systems. So if he can do that, and if he can learn both playbooks, and it's not going to be easy, but if he can learn both playbooks, okay, go for it. Give him a shot. Conceivably, he could conceive. I mean, I don't know exactly how Jacksonville's going to run their practices. So, I mean, would they do? I don't know.
Say they're better off to use them as a wide receiver with a limited route tree because it's easier to teach the route tree of a wide receiver than it is a cornerback. Let him develop on the defense in practice against the second string offense when they're doing their drills and learn how to be an NFL cornerback, and then maybe let him play both ways towards the end of the season. But I would not let him play both ways. He needs to focus one way or the other to begin with and make the other one better.
Good point.
And it might depend on what kind of a game it is. Like, if it's an AFC championship game, that might be one where maybe
has nothing to do with who you're against. It has to do with the development of the player. So you have to pick a side that you want him to focus on to begin with, and the other one be the secondary part of it. So,
right.
And if you look at his numbers, technically, he gave up a shit ton of yards at Colorado as a cornerback. He got a shit ton of yards as a wide receiver with a mediocre quarterback against easy defense. So it's a crapshoot. All the offenses in the Big 12 are good, and he got torched. I think he had the third highest yardage given up in that division.
I'm sure that he's going to see over time what he's going to be more successful at. And if it ends up being that he's a receiver full time and then goes to, maybe they turn him into a nickel or a dime DB. Okay, kind of like what Troy Brown was doing in New England for a little while there. I can see that being a possibility. So, it's going to be fun. The big thing with it is, now that the draft is over, we have a couple of weeks until we get the schedules and we're going to know who's playing who and when and all that kind of stuff. Then all the speculation can start. But here's a good question for you guys. All of us play fantasy football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy, you play fantasy football?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, and I know Jamie does. Here's my question. Who of these rookies do you foresee being the best fantasy football player in 2025?
If Oakland had an O-line, I'd say Genty, but I don't see that. So I don't think he'll be as successful because Boise State had a good O-line. I'm going to say it's Omarion Hampton because the San Diego Chargers has a good O-line. I think he's going to actually break out really well. Cam Ward at the Titans, their O-line isn't that great. You saw Will Levis getting beat up like a redheaded stepchild.
Their offense was rebuilt last year, and it's all coming back with young linemen. So
yeah, but you still don't know what that young linemen are going to do in the NFL. They let Will Levis take it like a street hooker with enough money to pay her.
I've got one for you. How about RJ Harvey, the running back from UCF? Did Sean Payton get his next Alvin Kamara?
Wasn't RJ Harvey a cornerback?
No, running back from UCF.
I don't know. Maybe Darren Sproles. I doubt he got an Alvin Kamara out of it because he has suspect hands. I know that there was another initial name that was the cornerback for UCF that got drafted too. And what happened to Ivy? Why didn't he get drafted? Because that kid had a name and everybody knew him. I kept hearing ever since the 4th round he'd be drafted, and he became a UDFA. What the heck happened in his past? The guy that I'm surprised even got drafted with the 2 sex allegations that haven't been dropped.
Jared Ivey from Ole Miss.
Yeah, he didn't even get drafted. He ended up being a UDFA.
I mean, Kurt Warner was an undrafted free agent and went to the Hall of Fame.
Mike Green getting drafted, and he fell because of it. But him getting drafted by the Ravens, that might be a mistake, because if either one of those sexual allegations are true and it goes to trial, he's going to be done for the season, because we know that the NFL is not going to sit back and let him play with that type of stuff on his record with all the stuff that comes out all the time.
I mean,
especially the Ravens, because they're already dealing with Justin Tucker.
Right.
Oh, by the way, the Ravens drafted a kicker, so does that mean Justin Tucker is destined for Cleveland?
No. Cleveland didn't draft a kicker? Justin Tucker has to beat the court case. He's indefinitely suspended till they get a decision, if I remember right. That's why they cut him.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb Johnson put some really good fantasy numbers up for the Steelers. I really wouldn't.
I think Caleb Johnson's got a little Le'Veon Bell.
There's a lot of Le'Veon Bell in him. And if he can put up any kind of the numbers that Le'Veon Bell put up, especially if Will Howard can put up any kind of the numbers Ben put up, now we're talking about getting an offense together, because you have a top 10 receiver in the NFL on one side. Granted, you got the top 10 head case on the other side, but I think you could do something there. But the one team that I just sat here and shook my head, because we all know what their glaring weakness was, and it was defense. Cincinnati takes Shamar Stewart, Demetrius Knight out of Carolina, and Barrett Carter in the 4th round. That's the defense they drafted. 3 guys, 1st, 2nd, 4th round. They draft a guard, a tackle, and then Taj Brooks, my boy out of Texas Tech, in the last round. Am I losing my mind that we can't figure out what the hell Cincinnati was doing? They got all this offensive talent, and they've got absolutely nothing happening on defense. It's like the early mid-'80s San Diego Chargers right now. Score 50 and give up 51.
Honestly, I have no idea what the Bengals are doing. Like, the Bengals, if the Bengals go into the draft for 7 draft picks, the Bengals don't move up, they don't move down. Like, the Bengals just stay still and literally we'll draft this guy because we think he can be good. We draft this guy based on potential. Guess what happens to those guys? They suck. So, yeah,
I'm really
yeah, Shamar Stewart had 4.5 sacks this year.
I'm really starting to wonder, does Joe Burrow have to go someplace else to get a ring?
Yeah,
he might, because every time they try to address the O-line, they fail. The defense last year was suspect. The Higgins and Jamar Chase contracts together with Joe Burrow is what's handcuffing them. They're going to end up losing Trey Hendrickson. I'm surprised he didn't get traded.
Right, and they drafted 2 offensive linemen, a guard from Georgia and a tackle from Miami. But I don't understand why they signed Higgins, to be honest with you. I really, honest to God, don't. Because like you said, that really handcuffs them on anything else. And I know the salary cap keeps going up year after year. But my gosh, I mean, What are they paying between those three? About 130, 140 a year between those three? Something to that general effect? It's insane when half of your salary cap's going on three guys.
Yeah, I mean, Joe
The
Burrow
problem,
averages.
Orlando, is they don't have any defense.
All they got is Trey Hendrickson, and he wants out because he can't get paid.
And he can't play run defense.
Right.
He's a great pass rusher. He don't play run defense for nothing.
Put it this way: Aiden Hutchinson accidentally is 10 times better than Trey Hendrickson at run defense.
Yeah. And as much as I love me some Aiden Hutchinson, he's not very good against the run.
He's not very good on elusive running backs. If they're a straightforward north-south runner, he's fine. It's when they can
Yeah.
spin and cut and everything else because he doesn't have that fluidity in his hips and legs.
Right. You're right. No, you're
Yeah,
right.
I'd rather be honest about it. And it's just like last year, you saw him finally get the outside spin right, so he wasn't running away from a quarterback when he spun around defenders.
Mhm.
But that's because I said it all the year before because you were watching. If he spun inside, it was the most beautiful move in the world. He was right in the quarterback's face, and boom, it was a sack. Half the time, the year before, in the year we won 12 games, he'd spin to the outside, and he got lost
Yep.
because he doesn't know how to keep his head on that swivel. And that's what they teach you in ballet and dancing about keeping your head on a swivel so you snap back to the same spot real quick so you don't get dizzy in a spin.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why, if you remember right, hell, this is back when we were in school, Big Rich. They used to make us take some type of dance to play football so you could learn how to spin and hold your head.
In
Yeah,
Texas, we did square dancing.
Right.
Yes,
Hey,
I could. I at one point I could drown my partner in do-si-do. Yes, I could.
hey, by the way, Rich. All my exes from all
My exes live in Texas.
Now wait,
If
you're
you,
gonna, I sang that song at karaoke for a contest because it was a country singing contest, and Flint, Michigan, just outside of where I live. I'm in Burton, a small suburb of Flint. We're in Genesee County, so instead of singing Tennessee, I said that's why I hang my hat in Genesee.
you listen to the radio much, Jeremy, up there?
Not lately.
In the last several years, do you remember 98.9 The Beat?
Yes.
That was my station up there.
My station up here. The only thing I listen
No,
to
that was
up
the one
here-
I worked for. That was the one I
Oh,
worked
okay. That's cool.
I had my stations here in Waco, and we also owned the one up in Flint, 98.9.
Yep, 98.9 The Beat, and it went in where the old WTAC used to be, if I remember right.
It did. Yes, sir, it did.
Because that used to be an AM station, and you guys had to wait 6 months to go on the air here because you had to revamp all the towers because they weren't powerful enough to transmit FM.
You would be correct, sir. You would be correct.
So I do know a little bit of my local history.
I've got another fun question for you guys. Everybody likes to eat. So I've got 6 food items here. Which one are you dispatching? Tacos, steak, pizza, seafood, wings, or burgers? Start around the room. Jamie.
What was the last one?
Burgers.
Okay, Isaiah Bond did not get
Jamie, you go first.
Now, what was that? I'm sorry.
Which food would I want?
I was looking. Which food? What?
Which food would you eliminate?
Okay, what are they?
Seafood for me.
The
only seafood I like is shrimp.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Taco, steak, pizza, seafood, wings, burgers.
Seafood I would eliminate.
Easy wings. I'd eliminate wings. You want to know why? Because you can't have surf and turf without the shellfish.
No, do you have a selfish allergy?
Me? No.
No, I mean Jamie.
No, I only like shrimp.
But there's more
Given that list, I would be with Jamie. I'd get rid of seafood.
No.
I do like fish. I like shrimp. I like fish. But given that list, that would be the one I would get rid of. Yeah.
Oh, I would get rid of tacos. I would get rid of tacos faster than Amon Ra could dance his way into the end zone.
Dude, I can make a taco that make you stand on your head.
A mean taco. I love tacos.
The good part about tacos is you can put pretty much anything you want in them.
7 hours ago,
I can't do it on a laminate floor.
Here's a funny one for you about Isaiah Bond. 7 hours ago, somebody prank called him and told him he got signed to a roster. I'm sorry, that's so wrong. I heard tacos gives you the Schmitz, J.I. says. I get the Schmitz accidentally every 4 weeks. You're muted still, Rich.
The drizzling Schmitz.
Yeah, the drizzling Schmitz.
Or the Michael Jack Schmitz.
That's what happens when you have a sports hernia that causes a diverticulitis situation.
Yeah.
So once every 2 months, I have a week where I can't go, and then every month I have one where I have that over 50 problem that 3 times as bad as everybody else, and that's never trust a fart.
Anyway.
Hey, at least I'm honest about my stuff.
So, and again, I know we're doing this a little different tonight. Adam's not here, dealing with some of the storms that are passing through the area. Again, we want to definitely extend our thoughts to everybody that's in dealing with all these storms and all that craziness that's going on. We definitely are thinking about you. But let's go back to baseball for just a second, because we're a month into the season, okay? And you have guys right now that they may have started slow, but they're going to do okay in that kind. But who are you looking at right now that is just absolutely driving you bananas that they're starting so slow and it's out of character for them?
Colt Keith for the Tigers.
Who's that?
Colt Keith. The amount of money we gave him last year as a rookie, and then he comes out this year and he's shit in the bed. I am not happy with him right now.
Jay, I can tell you the exact answer to this. They can't pitch. Their entire pitching staff's on the injured list. Jamie, what do you got?
Who do I think I can't stand that I think is starting out really slow?
Yeah, who are you just sitting here going, I cannot believe this guy is starting this slow?
Devin
Williams, a month into the season.
The Yankees.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
He's really starting out rough this year. You're right.
I thought Luke Weaver should have been named the closer from the beginning, like he did. Like he pitched great in the playoffs last year, and now that he is the closer, he's coming out to Dream Weaver now, which is cool.
Oh, jeez.
No, Devin Williams should have been the closer. I mean, Devin's been the best closer in baseball the last couple of years when healthy. But
but Luke Weaver was pretty damn good in the playoffs last year.
Dylan, who you got?
Gunnar Henderson. What is going on with Gunnar Henderson? He's hitting 224 with 2 home runs. 2 this week or so. But come on, Gunnar.
I'm not sold that Henderson's completely healthy.
True.
I think they brought him back too fast.
Oh, yes. It gets even worse with him graduating from Texas for Isaiah Bond. They called and told him he was signed by the Cowboys.
Oh.
I think he's on suicide watch.
That's not good, man. That's not good. Mine is Marcus Simeon. I don't understand what he's 3 for 3 tonight as they're absolutely mollywhopping the Oakland A's 12-0. But I mean, Simeon just this season has not been able to get out of his own way. He's hitting, I believe, about $130 right now, $140, playing Gold Glove defense as always, but he never starts this slow. And I'm trying to figure out what in the world is going on. He's healthy.
155.
Huh?
155.
Okay, that's probably with his 3 for 3 tonight.
By the way, what is Jock Peterson's average now?
He's actually got it up to like 080 something. He hit a triple the other night. The Rangers, here's one for you about the Rangers. They are the worst scoring team in baseball and the best pitching team in baseball.
That can't be in that ballpark.
And they've got the best record in the American League, or at least they did going into the series against Oakland. But yeah, they are the worst pitching team in baseball. Starting pitching, or worst hitting team in baseball, and the best pitching team in baseball.
Jay, are you throwing
Tyler
me
Bailey, Jacob DeGrom?
Huh? Jay, are you throwing me under the bus now? Jeremy.
Well, I know suit and tie.
What's
that was for a special occasion.
Is he was talking to Jay. Me under the bus?
Who threw you under the bus?
Jay, in the comments.
Yeah, you know what? He just asked why you're not wearing a suit and tie tonight. That's all. Because he got used to seeing you in it. You dressed up for the mock draft. Now you see, I just got used to seeing you in the suit and tie. Come on, Mr. Weatherman.
Jay, the storms are all through the country, but they particularly hit the Pittsburgh area over the course of the afternoon today. There's a big band of them coming right across the country and going basically from Dallas to the Canadian border and just moving right across the country. Severe storms, rain, flash flooding, some tornadoes were spotted, things of that nature. So that's where it's at. And that's what Adam lost power at his place. He and I talked a little before the show. He's good. The house is good. They had a couple of trees go down, but a couple of houses down from him, they lost a tree that knocked out a power line. So, he's sans power at the moment. And, he's definitely, of course, hating to hear he's missing the show. But, Jay, we're in Georgia, man. I'd be very interested I always like to find out when people say they're in Georgia where they're at. Yeah. Oh, by Athens. Okay. The radio station I currently work for is in Albany. That's why I was kind of curious.
Hey, Rich, you remember the SEC tournament when the tornado hit the Georgia Dome?
Yeah. Yep. I also remember when they were playing. I'm trying to remember who LSU was playing. It was a home game. Man, who were they? I want to say they were playing Vanderbilt, but I could be wrong. Might have been Florida. And hadn't started raining yet. And thunder hit. And when thunder hit, it how they say you can tell the distance between the lightning and how far the lightning is from you by how short the distance is. The lightning hit behind the outfield wall and the thunder hit right at that time. It was right in mid pitch, and everybody just scattered like cockroaches when the lights turn on. I mean, they were gone. And you're watching this and just going, oh man, nobody got hurt, thank goodness. But man, that was a scary deal. That was a real scary deal.
Oh, I remember walking in the ASUN tournament in 2014, actually 15. Well, literally the wind blew down one of our cameras. We called it Hurricane ASUN. Like the hurricane blew, like the winds blew down one of our cameras, and And I'm like, how are we going to play? And somehow we ended up playing baseball that day. And I'm like, how the bleep did we play?
Yeah, weather is nothing to play with. Definitely nothing to play with. But hey, guys, here's another quick question for you as we get ready to get into May. We've got baseball season going, and we're a month into the baseball season. We're eyeball deep in the NHL and the NBA playoffs, and the NASCAR season is right. We're a quarter of the way through that. Which of the four are you most interested in as of April 29th, 2025? You notice I didn't put the NFL in there. The baseball season, the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, or the NASCAR season?
I would say baseball, NHL, and NBA.
Jeremy?
You know what? I like baseball. I'm out on hockey, and the way the playoffs are going, I'm probably out on NBA too.
Dylan?
I'm mostly hockey right now, and that's not just because I do replay for a hockey team, but I think these hockey games are crazy with the hatred, with the animosity, the aggression, goals. I mean, comebacks. I mean, Ottawa blanked the Maple Leafs 4-0 tonight, so that's it. The Battle of Ontario is going back to Ottawa. Overtime game in Raleigh. Minnesota and Vegas tied 2-2. Crazy games in LA. Controversy in the Battle of Florida with whether or not Aaron Edwards should be or shouldn't be suspended. And maybe one day the Sabres will join us, Jamie. We miss you.
Hmm?
We miss your Sabres in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. It stinks right now, but you just got to keep going through it. Something eventually comes through. I mean, what are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do about it. All I care about right now is the NHL is going to be in a golden era next year now with Ovi breaking the record.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about that.
By the way, speaking of which, have you heard anything? I know Joe was stuck in Florida. Have you heard anything? Is he headed back home yet from his cruise? Have you heard anything, Jamie?
Probably not until Sunday night or something.
Oh, okay. I got you.
By the way, Rich, they're all worse places to be stuck on a cruise than Florida. You could be stuck in Alaska doing a big blizzard.
They have cruises
True.
in Alaska.
Yeah, he could be stuck in Galveston during a hurricane.
Oh,
That's happened before. When a hurricane was coming up the Gulf Coast of Texas, and they've had cruise ships that were stuck and or destroyed. Yeah, that's no bueno. But I'm glad. I hope he had a good time. And I'm sure we'll have him back next week. You guys got anything else that we want to talk about, man? I didn't really have a long time to put a list together, but I hit all the topics I was thinking we would talk about.
I mean,
Anybody got anything else?
We went for an hour and a half.
Yeah, so you guys want to go ahead and wrap things up then? I mean, I know it's a little shorter than normal, but you guys want to wrap things up?
I'll go ahead and start off on my end. Make sure you check out my channel, Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, and also Huddle Sports Network. Huddle Sports Network is also an app on Roku and Amazon. I go live every day at noon. Every show I do is streamed to my channel. I want to thank everybody in the chat from my channel that came in and gave us some good comments tonight. And before I leave, I just want to say this. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place, unless you're talking shit about somebody else's team.
There you go. There you go. Jamie, where folks get you, man?
You can find me, yours truly, at Bill's Chat One at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dog Tags on X, theforkball.com, and stadiumrate.com, where I write about all sports. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, ring the bell for notifications. For those who are listening, Joe Dalio and I, when he gets back from his cruise, will be resuming our normal coverage of the Subway Conversation Chat next Tuesday, May 6th at 8 o'clock p.m. on Driving to the Top Productions. Thank you guys so much for joining our open mic night tonight. And for more content like this show on Driving to the Top Production, please visit our YouTube page, Twitch stream, X stream, Facebook, wherever you consume your podcast. Thank you very much for listening. And this has been Tuesday night open sports mic here on Driving to the Top Productions.
Dylan, where do they get you, man?
At Dylan S Sports One, Spunky Spectrum Sports, Big D Podcast. Anybody want to do best ball drafts? Because I want to be doing a bunch of best ball drafts between now and September.
I'm sure we'll be doing all that. You can get me on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it tomorrow. Big Rich 8371, or on Facebook, my name, Rich Richardson. Right here on Driving to the Top Productions, Monday, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, with Two Tire Change, our NASCAR program here on the station. Tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, assuming everything goes okay. Steel City Sports Talk with myself and Adam. Maybe flying solo tomorrow night, but we'll see how that all plays out with how they're doing up there in Pittsburgh. And, of course, Tuesday nights right here. Getting ready to get a wrestling show going. I think we figured out when we're going to put this thing together. So definitely be keeping an ear out for that as well. Guys, any final thoughts before we sign off?
Stay safe, boys.
All right, guys.
Always strive yourself to be better every single day.
There you go. Hey, guys, until we see y'all again next time, my name is Big Rich. For Dylan, Jeremy, and Jamie, and all of us here at Driving to the Top Productions, so long, everybody.